Early in the offseason, the New York Jets made one of the boldest moves of the NFL year when they officially decided to cut ties with quarterback Aaron Rodgers. It was a move that shocked some fans and pundits, especially considering how much the Jets invested in acquiring Rodgers just 1 year prior, but for the organization itself, it was a necessary and strategic decision. Rodgers, 41, had suffered a devastating Achilles injury on just his fourth snap with the team in Week 1 of the 2023 season, and his future with the franchise remained clouded in uncertainty from the moment he went down. By releasing Rodgers, the Jets cleared the path for a fresh start at the quarterback position, and in doing so, opened up several valuable opportunities, financially, culturally, and structurally. Rodgers' departure eliminated more than just cap space. It ended weeks of speculation, removed lingering drama in the locker room, and allowed the Jets front office to move decisively in a new direction. With Rodgers off the books, New York quickly pivoted and made a bold signing, bringing in former Bears quarterback Justin Fields to be the new face of the franchise. Fields, still just 25 years old, brings a completely different energy to the Jets' offense. He's mobile, explosive, and driven to prove himself after an uneven start to his NFL career in Chicago. The Jets saw this as an ideal buy low opportunity, a chance to land a young quarterback with untapped potential and a chip on his shoulder, without needing to invest another top pick or a massive contract. In many ways, Fields' arrival marked a true reset for the Jets, and one they could only execute after fully letting go of the Rodgers experiment. Meanwhile, Rodgers' journey into free agency has turned into a slow-moving saga that continues to dominate headlines but lacks a definitive conclusion. Several teams initially expressed interest in the four-time MVP, but as the offseason has progressed, that list has grown shorter and shorter. The Minnesota Vikings were linked to Rodgers early on, but those rumors were quickly dispelled after the team doubled down on building through the draft. The New York Giants were another speculated destination, but their commitment to Daniel Jones, and their position in the draft, made that union unlikely as well. Now, weeks into his free agency, Rodgers' choices seem to have narrowed dramatically. According to multiple league sources, the Pittsburgh Steelers have emerged as the only remaining serious suitor. The Steelers have made their interest known. Rodgers has reportedly visited the team facility, met with head coach Mike Tomlin, and even held a throwing session with newly acquired wide receiver DK Metcalf. Despite these encouraging signs, Rodgers has yet to sign a contract. Whether he's still weighing his options or considering retirement, his indecision has left the Steelers in a delicate position. With the 2025 NFL draft rapidly approaching, Pittsburgh can't afford to wait much longer. The franchise needs to know who their quarterback is going to be next season. Every day they wait is a day of uncertainty for the coaching staff, front office, and roster as a whole. The Steelers are no strangers to stability at the quarterback position, having enjoyed nearly 2 decades of consistency with Ben Roethlisberger, but now they find themselves at a crossroads. Do they continue waiting on Rodgers and hope he chooses them? Or do they take control of their future and trade up in the draft to secure a quarterback they can build around? That's where things start to get interesting, not just for the Steelers, but also for the New York Jets. One of the most highly regarded quarterback prospects in the 2025 draft class is Colorado's Shedeur Sanders. The son of NFL Hall of Famer and Colorado head coach Deion Sanders, Shedeur has drawn praise across the league for his arm talent, pocket awareness, and poise under pressure. He's widely expected to be a top 10 pick, and many scouts believe he has franchise quarterback potential written all over him. However, due to the unpredictable nature of the draft and the unique needs of teams picking in the top 5, there is a realistic scenario where Sanders could slide just outside of that elite range. That's where the Saints come into the picture. Holding the number 9 overall pick, New Orleans is considered by many insiders to be the team most likely to pull the trigger on Sanders if he's still on the board. The Saints have been eyeing a long-term solution at quarterback ever since Drew Brees retired, and while they've tried several stopgap options, they haven't yet found their next franchise leader. Sanders could easily be that player, and the Saints are reportedly enamored with his potential fit in their system. But before Sanders gets to New Orleans at number 9, there's a critical stop: pick number 7. That pick belongs to the New York Jets. And if the Steelers decide to stop waiting on Rodgers and make their move for Sanders, they'll have to leapfrog the Saints. Which means the Jets hold the keys to the entire situation. New York is in a position of power. They don't need a quarterback, they have Justin Fields. They also don't have a pressing need at a specific position that can only be filled at number 7. For the Jets, moving down 10 or even 15 spots in exchange for premium draft capital would be a wise and efficient play. And with the Steelers potentially desperate to land their quarterback of the future, New York could leverage their position into a major haul. This is the hidden benefit of cutting Rodgers that not many people saw coming. By moving on from the veteran early, the Jets cleared their own path while simultaneously putting themselves in position to capitalize on Rodgers' lingering effect elsewhere. If Pittsburgh refuses to wait any longer and decides that Shedeur Sanders is their guy, a trade with the Jets becomes inevitable. And that trade could be very lucrative for New York. Let's say, hypothetically, the Steelers offer their first-round pick, number 18, their second-rounder, and a 2026 third-round pick to move up to number 7. That's the kind of offer that would be very difficult to refuse, especially for a team like the Jets that already has their quarterback and would benefit from adding multiple assets to plug depth holes across the roster. The Jets could then use those picks to bolster the offensive line, add weapons for Fields, or continue building one of the strongest defenses in the league. It's a scenario where everyone wins, except maybe Rodgers. If Pittsburgh moves up and drafts Sanders, Rodgers' chances of signing with the Steelers effectively vanish. He would be left with two choices: find another team with a sudden need for a quarterback, unlikely this late in free agency, or finally retire from the NFL. Either way, his long-running sweepstakes would come to a quiet, anticlimactic end. For the Jets, however, the move would be a masterclass in asset management. From the moment they traded for Rodgers last offseason, they knew there was risk involved. They paid a high price to get him, and they got just 4 plays out of him before everything unraveled. But instead of clinging to a fading dream, they acted decisively this offseason. They let go of Rodgers, embraced a new quarterback, and positioned themselves perfectly in the draft. Now, they hold the one pick that could change the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's ironic in many ways. The same quarterback that dominated the headlines in New York for a full year may now be indirectly responsible for giving the Jets a treasure chest of draft capital, simply by not making up his mind. And make no mistake, this situation is fluid. If Rodgers were to sign with the Steelers tomorrow, it would change everything. Pittsburgh would likely stick with their current draft position, possibly look to add talent around Rodgers, and shift their focus toward a win-now mentality. But the longer Rodgers waits, the more tempting it becomes for the Steelers to shift gears entirely and commit to the next generation. Meanwhile, Jets general manager Joe Douglas is watching the situation unfold with calm confidence. He knows that every day of indecision from Rodgers makes his phone more likely to ring on draft night. He knows the Steelers are backed into a corner. And he knows the number 7 pick may become the most valuable trade chip in the entire draft. So while the headlines continue to focus on what Aaron Rodgers hasn't done yet, what team he hasn't signed with, what decision he hasn't made, the New York Jets quietly stand to gain the most from the entire situation. Because sometimes, in the NFL, addition begins with subtraction. And in this case, cutting Aaron Rodgers may have just set the Jets up for their most strategic win yet.